followed by head coach Mel Tucker around 1 o'clock. Coach Johnson has about 15 minutes before he has to hop to a meeting, and then we'll have players after Coach Tucker. So we'll take questions in the chat for Coach Johnson, and we'll get started. Our first question is from Matt Wenzel with MLive. Matt?
Hey, Jay, when you had a chance to review the 2020 season in a whole, what were kind of the bullet point takeaways you had as far as what went right, what went wrong, and what you need to address moving into, well, now that you're in spring practice?
Right. Yeah, Matt. Obviously there were several things. I think the first piece that we take a lot of pride on, and you talk to any levels of football, is certainly taking care of the ball. And so I think when we look at that, that's a big focal point for us, and it always has been, and even was in the fall, and never been really involved in that type of a deal, but it was what it was. And so I think it's that piece, but there's a lot of pieces that we're kind of working on, I guess, in a nutshell, to kind of really improve everything. One of the pieces that we've had a chance now to do since we've kind of been able to go through spring here is communication. It's a communication piece. It's the strain piece. It's being disciplined. And we felt when we reviewed everything, it's all those little factors that we needed to touch on and improve. At the end of the day, as you guys know, it's about executing, and we didn't execute very well. And so, that's what our big focal point is know what we need to do, know how to get there and go get it done. And once you do all that, you got to take care of the rock and do those things. So it's really been a comprehensive deal and a comprehensive approach. And, I feel we've already made huge strides in the few days we've been out there in spring compared to where we ever were in the fall. So I'm really excited about that.
And you've been part of, installing a new offense at different schools before. And obviously this past year was unique in that respect, but is there anything you've maybe been able to take away, carry over from one stop to the other, as far as what you notice guys picking up a little bit most in year two, where you see the most improvement?
Yeah, I think I think a lot of it is just a familiarity with things, now that we've kind of been through it, and, we're fortunate to get, obviously spring ball this spring, which we didn't get last year. And so, we really kind of started back over, but I think just the been around it, obviously, when you really look at football and a lot of things that a lot of people do, obviously you guys know there's a lot of commonalities. And I think the biggest thing is that language piece, learning that language piece. And now that guys have been around it more, I feel like that's much more fluid. We're able to communicate it. So once we can communicate, we can execute better. And so I think that's one of the biggest things. And I'll be honest, what's really been nice too, is since we've had a chance to, as a staff, even to kind of be back together postseason, start of the new year, is just for us to kind of go back through everything as a staff, because, that all got blown out of whack, kind of when we had first gotten here with the timing of everything and what we're all dealing with. So that's even been really good for us as a staff to really get in depth of everything that we're doing. And I think that's going to pay dividends for us.
Thanks, Jay.
You bet.
Our next question, Lindsay, we'll get to you next. We'll go to Chris Solara, the Detroit Free Press. I know Chris has got something. So Chris, we'll go to you next.
Hey, Jay, good to see you. I'm in a dark studio, so I can't be seen. So wanted to ask you about the run game in particular. We always know so much that, Coach Cap and Coach Tucker talked about the run game, quote unquote, being putrid. But if you look back at it, what caused that? What were the driving factors that caused the run game to languish so badly?
I think it was multiple things. I think it's again, a lot of it was I think doing what we needed to do better. That's my essence, and that comes with time and with practice and with preparation. And I think it's that and the understanding of overall what we're doing, from the quarterbacks being very involved to the run game, and that goes to the O-line. And so that's, Chris, where I see the biggest deal is just that understanding, that comprehensive level, and then once you do that, then hopefully we can do things better fundamentally. And then once, if we're not thinking about it and we're that and we're better at that, then obviously your physical talents can take over, and then we can execute things at a higher rate as far as being better fundamentally. And if you can do that, then you're going to give yourself a chance. So I think it was all those things, quite frankly, is that. And and, kind of moving guys around and different injuries and, different things you dealt with that everybody dealt with. So that is what it is. But I think that's the main thing that I see.
Our next question, we'll go back to Lindsey Huddleston. Lindsey?
Never a problem deferring to Chris Solari at all. Jay, good to see you. I know we're not talking to just the fans, but what's the common misunderstanding that fans have when they think that you can just curate this instant offense? Like, you're in now, you got new quarterbacks. Hey, where's the offense? Like, can you talk a little bit about that common misnomer and kind of educate people a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, offense is a pretty unique thing in my opinion. We've got, as we've kind of been the focal point of our discussion so far here today, is, it's a good challenge now to get 11 dudes all going in the same direction, and then you couple that with what you're doing with the multiplicity that you see from the opponents, and when you're new, and that's trying to get that. And then, I mean, yeah, I've been with Cap and I've been with Coach Piegler and Coach Tuck, but you still got other guys on our staff that are new. So there's a lot of gelling that has to happen. And that takes time. That, we always talk about in our system, and a focal point of our system is being process driven. That process takes a while, and then just, obviously the other things that we all know what occurred. So, I think it's all those things, it's all those things that just kind of getting everybody, that's the unique thing about offensive ball, man. You got to be all rolling the same way. And if there's one guy that isn't, it can be detrimental. If that one guy would have been right, well, it might have been a 15-yard game, but if he's wrong, it might be -2. And there you're sitting at 2nd and 12, and you're like, okay, now what the hell do I call? You know what I mean? So it's really that give or take a little bit of both things. So that's how I see it.
Great. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Our next question will go to Stephen Brooks with 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Jay, hope you're doing well. Wanted to ask you about Anthony Russo in a couple of respects. First, his competitiveness. I know that's something Mel has said. He always wants his QB to be the #1 competitor. Just curious how he factors out there, and also his ability to pick up this new scheme, because I know at Temple he went through, I believe, 3, maybe 4 different systems. So he's done this before. I'm curious how it's been in terms of him picking that all up.
Yeah, so far Roos has done a very, very comparable job. I do feel for the most part that you mentioned about the competitive spirit, and I think he's very good there. I really do. And we look at it at all different facets. I mean, one of the first ways we look at that is really when you're not in the football field, but more with Coach Novak and the strength and conditioning piece. And, he kind of had a little setback in the fall and then some COVID things in the fall. So, but once he got back here and kind of got back in that routine, he's really done a nice job there. And then, as you mentioned, he's been through a lot of, I think, transition and change there at his previous stop. And so he's handled it really well. But just like anything, and just like any good football players, and particularly at the quarterback spot, you got to work at it. And he's been showing that he's willing to do that. He's really putting in a lot of time to try to learn it and learn the new language and all the things that go with it. And so far, he's done a very nice job.
And what about you guys, just on-field football stuff? I mean, is he the guy that you saw on film, and basically so far the guy that you guys were hoping for?
Yeah, to this point, it's been very positive. I think if you look back to his at Temple, I think he's a strong thrower, and he's really demonstrated doing some positive things there. And so that's where I think kind of his strong point is, and he's coupled that with doing some good things mentally. So yeah, it's been transitioning, because you never know on that. Like you mentioned, it's always hard to know, is it going to transition from the meeting room to the field? But so far, it's been very positive.
Thank you.
Question will go to Eli McCown of the State News.
Hey, Coach Johnson, hope you're doing well. So going back to the run game a little bit, you've added a lot of transfers this year and added a lot of new players to that room. It's a pretty deep room. So I guess, how have you felt they have progressed over the season? And do you anticipate having a little bit more of a running back by committee as you did last season?
Yeah, I think it will be very similar to that. We've added some new players that have joined us mid-year, and the end result of that is to get more competition, because we think it will make everybody better. And so, yeah, I definitely feel that there's going to be, with those additions, we're already improved there, and it's making guys competitive. But at this point, I would definitely say, it's running back by committee. And I think once we go, we only had one scrimmage, so, it's hard to know all that, but they've all shown positive signs, which I think is good, because we'll keep that competition going. And that's just going to raise our bar. And that's our end goal as far as when we bring new student athletes in here, is to raise that bar of competition. And so far that's happened at that spot. And so we'll be better for it in the future.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it.
Our next question, I'll make sure everybody gets at least one. We'll go to Paul with Spartan Magazine. Paul?
Yeah, Jay. Hey, I wanted to ask you about another question on Anthony Russo. He had he put up a lot of numbers at Temple, had some high interception numbers in addition to high touchdowns. I wondered what you saw on film in terms of, why you think maybe his interception numbers are up and what he can do to kind of take that component of his game and kind of improve it.
Right. I think there's a couple things, Paul. I think the big thing, what you find is when you get a pretty talented quarterback that particularly has good talent, arm talent, sometimes guys think they can make every throw. And sometimes I think that's a piece to it. The other time is sometimes too, when you're trying to, you sometimes will things to happen when you see things as a quarterback and you're waiting, you're like, okay, if I give that another little tick, I think this guy is going to find some green space or some grass, or based upon what the defense is doing. So when you couple those two together, then I think things tend to go up. And so, that's something I've been focusing on with him a ton is, it's an old cliche, but take what is given. But it's so true, and we're really working with all that with Payton and everybody, understanding better. Again, it all goes to understanding what the defense is trying to do to us. So those are the two things that I saw from Roos that I think maybe lended itself to that a little bit. Sometimes hanging on something a touch too long. And sometimes when you got a big arm, you think you can shoot it in there all the time. And so we've definitely been working on that, and that needs to get improved. And so we're hoping we can make strides there.
And then you just mentioned Payton, so I just kind of wanted to ask about him. What have you seen in terms of where he's picked up from last year?
I think Payton's done good. Payton's tremendous, really does a tremendous job mentally. He's physically gifted athletically. And I think the biggest piece for him is, being in the new system again in the fall. I think he started to grow towards the end of the year. And again, I think things are beginning to slow down for him a little bit. And that's what he needs to happen, because he's very high energy, and we need him to slow down a little bit for him. And I think that's been occurring so far from what I've seen, because he does a great job, really knows things inside and out, and has the ability to help us there and manage that part on the field. And now I think it's just coupling and playing within each play and with your body position and getting that done. So he's had a solid spring to point as well.
Thank you.
We have time for a couple more before Coach has to go. We'll go to Matt Wenzel, and then we'll wrap it up with Stephen Brooks. Matt?
Hey, Jay, to stay on Payton, he had those 3 games where he got in after Rocky came out, but the start at the end of the year, how much do you think that maybe changed his outlook, just to be able to get the ball at the start of the game and not enter when you're down by double digits, and kind of
Right.
get that fresh slate as far as his confidence and his ability to approach?
Yeah, no, I think that definitely helps you, playing that spot. Sometimes it's always easy for the backup to come in. You see backups come in and have some great games sometimes, because there's kind of there. They're not as preparing as the starter does. So I think to have him go through that there at the end with the Penn State game was really big. And he came out, as we know, first series wasn't very good. As you kind of know, he kind of willed some things to happen. He threw that interception right away. But then after that, he kind of got settled in. And I thought that was a big step for him. And I think that bodes well for his confidence. And then he really played very solid for the rest of that game. And so I do think it matters. I do think it helps. There's nothing that can substitute for experience and getting out there when you got to do it. And particularly when you're going to be the guy from day one. And he knew that. And so, I think that's a big tip for him.
And with how much to having your top 4 receivers back, kind of, with the, obviously there's a quarterback competition, but with having those 4 guys back, how much does that help whoever gets the job? Because you do have some reliable guys.
Yeah, I think it helps us tremendously. I really like our position there, and the way those guys have come along with Coach Hawk has been good. So yeah, that's going to be huge, with those guys there. And yeah, I think it'll definitely benefit him, and because those guys again are at a new level, they understand things better, and a lot of that whole deal we've all been talking about is a little bit that quarterback receiver relationship and understanding those guys better. Now I think we understand them better, and hopefully that's going to help us perform better and get it where it needs to be at a higher level.
Thanks, Jay.
Our last question, I'll go back to Stephen Brooks.
Hey, Jay, wanted to ask, how important is it to have this spring to get a look at guys like Noah Kim and Theo Day? Um, Maybe I'm assuming here, forgive me if I am, but I imagine last fall you probably had to sort of cut that field kind of quick to one or two guys and really focus on them to get this time to look at the other two younger guys. Obviously, Hamp's there as well, but what can this spring bring for them, you think, just in terms of your evaluation of them?
Yeah, no, I think it's very important, Stephen. I mean, I tried in the fall because everything was so new, and with the lack of spring, Rocky and Hamp or excuse me, Theo and Payton got a lot of it, but then I had to go quick and change it once we got into the game mode. And so to have this time now is really beneficial for Noah and Theo and Hamp as well. Trying to develop him. He just has gotten here, but so it's good. Now as we get further along in spring, and then we'll kind of see how things evolve. That's going to have to go because we got to get the guys ready. They got to go take the snaps, and we're really in the process of doing that now. But yes, we're definitely trying to, I guess, a couple things. One, to kind of evaluate those guys in a little better form and see what they can do, and then hopefully, again, the experience piece and get them reps and bring them up to speed, and trying to get both things accomplished if we can.
Thanks very much.
Our coach, really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us today.
All right, thanks, guys. Stay safe. Be good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back in about 15 minutes. Thank you. Coach, thanks for joining us today. Michigan State had their 7th spring practice this morning, held their first scrimmage on Saturday morning. And joining us today is head coach Mel Tucker to give a brief recap of the scrimmage and to answer some of your questions today. Thanks for joining us today, Coach.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Thank you all for joining us today. I thought the scrimmage was very competitive. It was a physical scrimmage. I really liked the way our guys competed. It was a cleaner brand of football than what we have been playing previously. I really like we put an emphasis on technique and fundamentals up until this point, doing simple better. And there was a conscious effort from our players to do that, and to play with discipline, play with good pad level, great hand placement, footwork, being physical, just playing clean, fundamental football and playing fast. You need to know what to do, how to do it, and why it's important to do it that way. And also, our guys really consciously trying to strain and do what we ask them to do, which is critically important. We ran the ball quite a bit in the scrimmage. We really need that, the run game work on offense and defense. I really like the way our offensive line was coming off the ball. The tight ends need to be able to do it all. They need to be able to block in the run game, and then be able to win one-on-one in the pass game. And so we got a lot of work done there. Receivers did a really good job blocking. We need to improve. And then we put pressure on our defense to stop the run. We were more stout. I said our technique is getting better inside, setting the edges in the run game. We want to set the edge and build a wall, and then let our linebackers, build and, see the ball and go get the ball. Actually, the secondary run support was, it got better as the scrimmage went, and guys really started to show up and hit. We had a pretty good net on the ball. We did give up some explosives, but that's all leverage and tackling. I thought our quarterbacks, they seemed to be efficient, throw the ball to the open man, take what the defense gives you, not trying to force it. I thought we took care of it. We took care of the football. The communication is getting better, and when you hear guys communicating with authority, that means that there's more confidence, there's more understanding of what's expected. And so on both sides of the ball, the communication was much improved, and that's just part of the process. And then we were able to get our situational work in. First and second down, third down, we're down in the red zone, got 2 minutes. So it was a comprehensive scrimmage. It was our first time being able to go live to the ground. And I thought it was just a clean scrimmage. I felt like our team was improved. We have a long way to go. We're still building. And our newcomers have really helped to elevate the intensity of our practices, because we have competition at every position, and guys are really fighting for jobs and working to do what we want to do, and we carried that over into today's practice, this morning. But again, we still have quite a ways to go. It's a process, culturally, how we go about our business. It's still not where we want it to be, because I want these guys to play football the way I want them to play. I believe the game of football should be played a certain way, with great technique and fundamentals, and not a lot of the extra that doesn't really matter, does not contribute to winning. We don't talk to the opponent. We don't need to spend a lot of time, getting into shoving matches and things like that. It's just a waste of time. We need more attention to detail, more urgency, in between plays, hustling to get lined up. I want guys to strain to finish. I want guys to be able to play harder for longer. So this was practice number 7, and giving all these guys an opportunity to show what they can do, show that they can be coachable, and play up to the standard that we lay out for them. And after practice 15, we'll see where we are. But I talked to them about the aggregation of marginal gains. Everyone get 2% better, 1 or 2% better every day, and it adds up. And then we can just keep moving forward and improving our football team. And after practice 15, we'll see where we are. But I'm not interested in going into the summer with anyone who's not willing to play or not able to play the type of football that we need to play here. So every opportunity is opportunity. Every day is an opportunity to show what you're all about and how much you've learned, and can you improve? Can you take it from the classroom into a walkthrough, into individual work, to group work, and scrimmage, and eventually to a game. So it's a process. We've been getting good work in, but we're still a work in progress. We are making strides. So we just keep moving until we'll watch the film of today, and then we'll keep going, and we'll meet with them tomorrow and get ready to go again on Thursday. I like the way we're working, but we do need to keep raising the bar and get as much out of these guys as we can, and putting pressure on the coaches to make sure that we're getting it done the way we need to get it done. And because the lowest level of performance that you accept as a coach, that will become your culture. And so, we're not letting anything slide, and giving guys an opportunity to show that they can perform at the level that we need and do it exactly the way we want it. And then we'll find out as we go who can do that. And then things are starting to shake out a little bit, as the intensity of the practices elevates. You really find out, what who can do what we need them to do. Pain and pressure is really what moves the needle with guys. And so we're making our practices as difficult as they can be, putting pressure on guys to compete in situations and see what they can do. So we're getting a lot of work done in a short period of time. We don't have a day to waste. So we're just gonna keep the train on the tracks and keep it going. But with that, I'll do my best to answer any of the questions that you have.
Thanks, Coach. We'll start with Chris Solari from the Detroit Free Press.
Hey, Mel, good to see you. I guess kind of getting into maybe a little bit of what a Mel Tucker scrimmage is. How much, do you devote to the situational stuff like you mentioned? Do you try and make it game-like? I know Mark had done altered scoring. Do you keep score, or do you focus on the individual elements of what guys need to do? And do you stop and start and move the ball around and things like that?
Yeah, we don't keep score per se. We'll go like ones versus twos versus ones, then we'll go ones versus one for the rest of the scrimmage. Everything we do is situational, so it's gonna be first and second down. We had a rack of third down plays that were scripted. We also had moved the field where we were just really playing the game, and guys were being extended, having to play more than 3 or 4 plays in a row like they would do in a normal scripted practice. We were able to go down in the red zone and get some work in with 2 minutes. But everything is situational. We're not just out there just running plays. We did, on each side of the ball, we do keep stats, with the first group and then with the second group, and then the group overall on each side of the ball, because we have goals. We have goals like first and second down goals, third down goals, red zone goals, ball security, turnovers, things like that, 2-minute goals. And so, after the scrimmage, we'll post we'll go over the goals and see how many goals we hit, and then we'll kind of just do it like that. So we got a lot of work done. We're able to quantify it and evaluate it, and then show it to our players, and then get better.
That was going to be my follow-up on that, is the quantifying factor. I mean, how much, especially at the quarterback position, how much of it is what they do on the field, and also how much of it comes back to rewatching it the second time to kind of learn and fix those mistakes at this point in the season.
Yeah, that's part of the process. You play, you practice, and then you watch the film. We grade the film. The players watch the film on their own. When they come back in on Monday after a scrimmage, they have all already watched it on their own. We tell them to have questions ready. We have players texting us over the weekend, the questions they have. So when they come in on Monday, we can hit the ground running. They're not seeing the scrimmage, really for the first time on Monday. They've already seen it over the weekend. And then we go to onto our corrections. We use film. We show them what they did right. If they did it wrong, we show them that and tell them how to correct it, and expect them to get it right the next time we put them in that situation on the field. And so that's part of our process, to evaluate it, to grade it, to make our corrections, learn, and then move forward. I mean, a coach's job is to teach, motivate, and develop. And so we put them in situations to be able to do that, and the players need to improve, because there's no reason not to. If you're not improving, then you're basically you're wasting time. And if you can teach, a player can learn. And we have excellent teachers on the staff, so I expect guys to be able to learn and get better.
Our next question is from Matt Wenzel with M Live.
And Mel, obviously a unique spring, given you didn't have one last year, but for all the years you've been doing this, have you ever noticed when you get to like that midpoint of spring practice that maybe some fatigue sets in with guys? I don't know, like the dog days or anything like that, where you kind of refocus guys for the second half, pushing towards the spring game?
We shouldn't really have that in the spring, because we're practicing pretty much every other day. We're going Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Guys have a day in between the practice, so there's plenty of time to rest and recover. If there's any type of lull in there, any type of fatigue, it's usually you give in mentally before your body gives in physically. And we do have some guys banged up. Football is a collision sport, and injuries are part of the game. But for the most part, guys should be fresh and ready on every practice.
And you said that the scrimmage is obviously a chance to start to see separation. Are there any particular positions or guys that you started to see that on Saturday where they stood out?
At each position, we're seeing guys that are starting to separate themselves. But we don't, there's no child left behind. We want to be able to bring them all along at this point. But once you get 5 practices or whatever, and then you go into a scrimmage, and you see who can carry it over from like in the progression. The progression is the meetings, walkthrough, individual work, group work, teamwork, and then a scrimmage. And the scrimmage is the closest thing you can get to a game, and you can see who can carry things from one progression to the next. Some of the young guys, once they get that scrimmage or a couple of scrimmages under their belt, then you start to see the game slow down for them. They start to rise their level of play, rise to the occasion, because they kind of already been there and they kind of see what it is. And so we're starting to see that with some of our young guys. But obviously, guys are at different levels, different stages of their development, and it's our job to get them, to push them all forward. And like I said, the aggregation of marginal gains, it's the process. We're not gonna be able to sprinkle dust on guys and all of a sudden, take them from A, to Z. I mean, you got to go they got to go progress and get better. So that's why I expect to see just steady improvement. If we're not seeing steady improvement, then something's wrong, and we have to identify that and find out, hey, what's the problem? Then fix that if we can.
Thanks, Mel.
Yep, you're welcome.
Our next question will go to Lindsey Huddleston.
Hey, Mel, sound like you got that outside coaching voice going on. just curious to know, I see so much activity in the portal, all these new guys coming in with big resumes, and you talk about sprinkling that dust. How is that working when, quite frankly, you still don't have a 100% recruited Mel Tucker team? So there's a mixture between the guys you're bringing in, the guys you're developing, and players that were here before. Is there a cultural clash that you're working through, and what is that going to mean come summertime?
Yeah, well, I only raise my voice in enthusiasm. So I may be a little bit hoarse today, but that's because we have an enthusiastic practice, and we need our coaches, we need our players to be able to respond to our coaching and to our voices. And so sometimes a little voice inflection is what's needed. The new guys coming in, we've done a lot of homework on the guys, and so guys that are the right fit for what we want to do and fit into our culture, into our program. And the day that they get here, we start to on the onboarding process. We explain to them, this is what this is all about. This is what we expect. This is how we expect you to handle yourself, day to day, on and off the field. And our newcomers have done that to this point. I don't see a conflict like in culture, but you can't take it for granted. We have to be intentional about connecting with all of our players, especially the new guys to the program, so that we can build a team. And because this is an ultimate team sport. It's not a game of like individuals. You have to buy. We want guys that can want to buy into something that's bigger than themselves, buy into the team concept. When a team does well, everyone does well. And so I haven't really seen issues to this point. Now what I do see guys coming in, with a chip on their shoulder, wanting to get jobs. I mean, because you have to earn. We're not giving spots where just because you come in, that doesn't mean you have a starting job. You have to earn that. So it's open competition. So it just is raising the level, all over the field at all positions. And quite frankly, mid-May through probably the first week of June, we have another wave of players coming in, they're finishing up high school or finishing up where they are from a transfer standpoint at another college or university. And so there's going to be a significant amount of new players coming in. So the team that we see right now, the team that we will see like in the spring game and practice 15 is not the team that we'll even have during our summer program. So we're constantly working to build our team, bring guys together and get the buy-in. But coming out of the spring, I need to know exactly where everyone is, and if it's going to work here for you or not. And that's what we're doing. But for the most part, what I'm seeing is guys at this point understanding this is what is required. It takes what it takes. There's no shortcuts. There's no way around it. I mean, football is a simple game, and let's do what the coaches tell you to. Have a coach me coach attitude, and get out there and get it done, and then rest, recover, and get ready for the next one. I'm seeing that. I do see a little bit of some remnants of maybe things that have held us back in the past, a lack of discipline, things like that, a lack of attention to detail, the urgency, and we confront and demand, right on the spot. And so, when we come out of the spring, that should be all cleaned up. If it's not, then there's probably an individual problem there, and there needs to be. If we can fix it, we'll fix it. If we can't fix it, then we can't, and then we'll have to move on.
Our next question will go to Rainer Saban of the Detroit Free Press.
Hey Mel, as you build this team, how much did you believe in the concept of just building from the inside out, both on the offensive side and the defensive side?
I believe it. Are you talking about from the offensive defensive lines?
Yeah, basically, and then going out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, in recruiting, the purpose of recruiting is to improve your team. So every time we recruit a player, we expect that player to help improve that unit. But I mean, by all means, the game is won and lost in the trenches. And so we want to make sure that we're strong on our offensive line. We're strong on our defensive line. I believe in being strong up the middle. You know, like baseball, you got the catcher, the pitcher, shortstop, second base, center field. You need to be strong down the middle. Same thing on offense or defense. We want to be stout in the middle, and so that we can control the line of scrimmage. Be able to run the ball on our terms, and then be able to stop the run on defense and make people one-dimensional. So that's been a point of emphasis for us, because if you can't run the ball on your terms, and you can't stop the run, then you can't really beat good teams.
On that note, as you know, obviously being a DB coach, I mean, do you also kind of believe that it's better to get pressure, obviously, with just 4 down linemen, as opposed to, you know, dialing up a lot of blitzes and that kind of thing, because obviously that gives probably more security on the back end if you can just get pressure with the 4 guys up front.
Ideally, you like to be able to know that you can get pressure with 4, but we have a comprehensive scheme where we have, you know, base rushing coverage, and then we have our pressures, and then we have our blitzes, and those are the categories, and we need to be able to use those to complement each other. You know, your pressures, your movements up front complement your base. Your base complements the pressures. You know, and so we have to be efficient in all of those areas to be able to have a comprehensive, dynamic defense, so we can play the game we need to play each week. Because every game plan is not the same. You're going to have different challenges based upon the offense that you face, But if you can get pressure with 4, then that's ideal, and we need to be able to do that. If you're relying on pressures and blitzes to be able to get guys stopped, to get teams stopped all the time, then, you know, you're really just a one-trick pony. You're not going to be able to get it done on a consistent basis.
Thanks.
We have time for a couple more. We'll go to Rico Cooney with Spartan Magazine.
Hey, good afternoon, Mel. Hope you're having a good day. Hey,
glorious day in the East Lansing.
Can you talk a little bit about Payton Thorne after the first week, what you've seen from him and what you saw from him in the scrimmage, and then what are your expectations going forward?
Yeah, Payton has done a nice job. He obviously has a pretty good grasp of our offense, and he plays with confidence, and he knows like what we expect from him is to run the offense, get us in and out of the right plays, make the proper checks, make the proper reads in the pass game, and, you know, take what the defense gives you and take care of the football and lead and compete. Your quarterback has to be your number 1 competitor. He has to be at that position. When you touch the ball in every play, I mean, you got to be the guy. You have to be a leader. You have to be able to take charge. You have to have command. You have to have poise. You have to have presence. You know, and you need to be able to run the show. And so, you know, he works really, really hard at his craft. He takes a lot of pride in his performance and his detail, and he comes to work, you know, every day, and he's really serious about it. You know, and he doesn't take anything for granted. That's what I like about him. You know, he's a go-getter. He's a worker, and he's always working to get better. And I believe that he puts pressure on himself, you know, to get better and to push. I mean, he's a coach's kid. I mean, he knows what it's all about, and, you know, he's willing to compete.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thank you.
Time for a couple more. We'll go to Stephen Brooks with 24/7 Sports, and then we'll wrap it up with Paul from Spartan Magazine. Stephen?
Hey, Mel, just wondering about Travaris moving back onto the field. I remember when we talked to him, he was really excited to be able to make that jump. Just curious about your thoughts on how he's handled everything and what you've seen from him through 7 sessions here.
Yeah, T is I mean, he's been with me, you know, 3 years at Georgia, a year at Colorado last year. I mean, this is year 6 being with me, so I know what he can do. You know, he played at Georgia Tech. He played in the NFL for, I believe, maybe 7 years. He played for Nick down in Miami. So a lot of the terminology and the techniques and just the philosophy in terms of how you play back there, He understands. We see it the same way, and so for him to go on the field, it's not a big jump for him. It's not like this is his first rodeo, so I know exactly what to expect. He coaches guys the way I expect him to be coached, and he's very demanding, confronting demand, and he coaches guys on every play, good or bad. And so I have a level of confidence with him because I know that we see secondary play the same, and so it's been a smooth transition.
Got it. Thank you.
Sir, thank you.
Our last question for Coach Tucker will come from Paul with Spartan Magazine. Paul?
Yeah, Mel, I wanted to ask you about Anthony Russo, what you saw from him in the scrimmage, and how he's coming along as far as learning the Jay Johnson's offense and that kind of thing.
I could tell that he's learning the offense, and he's getting a better understanding each time that he goes out there. He's a mature player. It's not too big for him. He's got really good pocket presence. He's want to step up in the pocket, stand in there and deliver the ball. He's got a strong arm and he can make all the throws. And he understands the run game and what we're looking for there. He gets us in and out of the plays. And as he gets more and more comfortable with the offense, he starts to play faster. And then his leadership abilities are starting to show up more and more each day. So I'm glad we got him.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Coach. We really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everything that y'all do for us. Appreciate you covering the team, and we'll see you next time. Go Green.
Thanks, Mel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We will be joined by quarterback Payton Thorne at this moment. Looks like Payton's all ready to go. So we'll take questions in the chat for Payton here as we get started. We have about 10 minutes with Payton. We'll start with Chris Solari from the Detroit Free Press. Chris?
Hey, Payton, good to see you. I guess for you in the offseason, when you heard that Coach Tucker was bringing in a grad transfer, what was your initial thought on that? And then being in the midst of a competition right now, how do you embrace that? How do you use that to push yourself to get better, like Coach Tucker said?
I think that the competition brings out the best in a lot of guys, and you got a decision to make when a guy's coming in like that, and how you're going to respond to it. And I think that you got to respond to it in a certain way, and you just got to put your head down and work. And I feel like that's what I've been doing lately, and got to keep showing up every day and improve yourself every day.
And as a follow to that, how much having this spring, how much do you feel the experience that you got in the fall helped prepare you for what you guys have right now and are trying to do?
Yeah, I think the experience in the fall and getting out there helped a lot. I wish we could have got that last game against Maryland as another game under my belt, but it's helped a lot, and I feel like I'm a lot better player than I was in the fall. This is my first spring ball since I've been up here, and I feel like it's already, I think we're 6 practices in or something like that, and I think that it's already paying off, and I've been excited to get moving here with spring ball.
Next question will go to Rico Cooney with Spartan Magazine.
Hey, Payton, good afternoon. Hey, can you talk a little bit about developing yourself? I asked Coach to give his evaluation of how you started off the spring. So I want to give you a chance to give a little self-evaluation about how you're progressing and what you need to take up another notch in your development.
I'm feeling really good with our offense right now, just mentally. I felt good about it last year, but now we've simplified things a little bit, put in a couple new wrinkles, and I'm feeling really good about just knowing the offense and knowing where to go with the ball. I think that just the pocket presence thing has improved already, and getting to check downs and stuff like that, and just getting through your reads quicker, I think has been positive so far in the spring. I got to keep working at that, and not forcing the ball in anywhere, and just making good decisions and working my way through the pocket, because the guys on Sundays, they're fantastic in the pocket, and I think that if you can deliver the ball from small spaces, that helps a ton.
So in that regard, then, have you taken a small jump, a big jump? Where are you at as far as, that meter?
I would have to take a step back and really look at that and look overall at everything. But we're only a few practices in now. But, like I said, I feel a lot better about my game right now versus where it was in the fall. So whether that's big or small, I don't really know if that's up to me to decide. But, I feel better about my game right now than I did in the fall for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Our next question from Matt Wenzel with M Live.
Hey, Payton, I was wondering, you mentioned the experience you got last year. Big difference between those experiences, the 3 games where you came in when you're already trailing versus the start against Penn State where you get the, fresh slate. How much did that ability to get a whole game in your belt and to be in those situations kind of change your outlook going into year 2 with the competition?
Yeah, it was definitely nice to get that game under my belt and get my first start. It was a lot of fun playing at Penn State and getting the whole game to perform. Obviously, I wish we could have finished it in the second half and pulled out the win, but I think that definitely helped. And as I said before, I wish we could have got the Maryland game at the end of the year for another one. But that was a good experience getting to work with the guys throughout the week and just go through the details of things that the starting quarterback does. Some of those things you don't really get to do as the backup quarterback. And having that start, I was able to communicate with those guys throughout the week to really, get on the same tune on what we want to do on Saturday. And I think that helped for sure.
With you growing up around the game, obviously your dad, your grandpa, I've spent a lot of time in locker rooms as a kid watching this stuff. How much does seeing these quarterback competitions play out and how guys handled it? I mean, your dad's own experiences. How much does that kind of help shape your view and how you approach this and your outlook?
Yeah, obviously, between my father and grandfather, I've had some good advice on things and, just from a coach's perspective, what they're looking for. So I think that's definitely helped. And, I think the biggest thing is just being myself. I feel like if I just am myself, then things are going to go well. And, people can see when you're trying to be something that you're not. And, that's definitely something that you can see as in a teammate. So I'm just focused on playing my game and improving every day with, my game and just being myself out there and having fun every day and working my tail off.
Thanks, Payton.
Our next question will go to Lindsey Huddleston.
Hey, Payton, somewhat of a follow-up of the previous questions. I like how you compare yourself to the NFL quarterbacks in that standard. But how do you balance having the ambition to play on Sunday and be a great Big Ten quarterback with having a crowded quarterback room where you have to also look at the competition part too?
Yeah, like I said, I'm comparing myself against myself. And I think that, if you get caught up in the comparison game, you start to focus on the wrong things. And, I'm just trying to get better every day with my play. And I think that that's the first step. And, obviously when you start talking about playing at the next level, you got to, slow down a little bit and worry about winning right now, because the guys that play on Sunday, most all of them were winners in college. And that's what I'm focused on is seeing how many wins we can get in the win column this upcoming year and, working for championships, because that's the standard here at Michigan State. And, that's been implemented by the guys that have come before us. And, it's our job to get us back there. And, the past couple of years have not been good enough. And we know that, the fans know that. And, that's our focus, is getting back there.
Sure. And really quick follow-up, not to give away all your secrets, but what do you think, along with having some playing time before it gives you somewhat of an edge going forward?
Yeah, having that last year under my belt and, getting to learn the offense last year and have all the, the base stuff down. I'm feeling good about that. And then moving forward this year with the new stuff that we're putting in, that's just adding on to what I already had mentally last year. So I think that just keep moving forward with that and keep sharpening up mentally is a big advantage.
Got it. Thank you.
Looks like our last question will go to Stephen Brooks with 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Payton. My Wi-Fi has been pretty bad here, so hopefully I can make it through this. And sorry if you've been asked any of these before. when last season ends and you go into the off season mode and you sort of review your own season and everything, and you talk now, just about being a much better player in the fall. What were your off season priorities, just personally as a quarterback? Like, what were some things you identified that you really wanted to get better at?
Definitely stepping up through the pocket is one. I talked to Coach Tucker about that last year. Just the pocket presence thing was one thing. Putting a little bit of weight on is another thing. I want to be able to run the ball effectively when I need to, and adding a few extra pounds helps with that. And then, getting stronger, getting faster, those base things that everybody focuses on is definitely big. And it's been great getting an off season in with our strength staff. They're some of the best in the business for sure. And, not having to work out at home in your garage is a lot better working out here with those guys. So I think it's been a good off season so far. We love working out with our strength staff, and I definitely we're seeing gains for sure, strength wise and speed wise. So that's been a big positive.
Got it. I also wanted to ask you about Anthony coming in. I know you talked about it a little bit at the top. Coach Tucker, Coach Johnson had mentioned, the point of bringing a guy like that in is to raise the level of competition. So are you feeling that? I mean, how can you sort of describe the level of competition, the competitive spirit in that quarterback room right now, and what has him coming in done to change that, I guess, if anything, that you've noticed?
Yeah, I mean, there's competition, obviously, but like I said before, you got to show up every day expecting to compete with whoever's in the room, and really you compete with yourself too, because if you feel like you're going the wrong way, then something's wrong. So you should always be competing and proving your teammates and your coaches that you're a good player, And I heard Tom Brady say one time that he shows up every day to prove himself still to this day. And you got to show up every day. If the greatest quarterback ever is saying that, then, no matter who you are, you better be showing up every day to prove yourself to not only to your teammates, but also to yourself, and, show yourself that, that I'm a good player, and that you should be moving forward with confidence. So I definitely think that the competition is good, and we got competition at other positions as well. And, the more competition, the better, because, it brings out the best in guys.
Got it. Thank you, man.
Our last question, looks like we have one more from Rainer Saban of the Detroit Free Press.
Hey, Payton, you guys had one of the higher percentages of downfield throws in the Big Ten, and that may have been skewed by the Michigan game, but how much has that been an emphasis of Jay's during spring practice, kind of, focusing in on that, and that being a sphere of focus for you guys?
Yeah, I think that's just part of our offense is, we got some goes, we got some posts, and, we got some guys that can run between Jalen Naylor, Jaden Reed, and a couple other guys. You can get behind guys, and when you have the chance to take those shots, you got to take them, because, the chunk plays are huge. If you look at the statistics of when you get an explosive play during a drive, and, your chance of scoring goes up so much. So those are plays that you got to have. And, you can't just inch the ball down the field all the time. You got to take some shots. And I don't know how much of an emphasis I'd say that we put on it, but, it's just part of our offense. And when it's there, you got to take it. So that's all I got on that one.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Payton. We really appreciate your time. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, Payton.
All right. We'll be joined shortly by quarterback Anthony Russo for a few minutes. He'll be on in just a minute. Thank you.
Is he the last guy, Ben?
Yes, it'll be and Anthony for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, looks like we have Anthony Russo here joining us today. Anthony, thanks for taking the time today. Wish we could meet everybody in person that covers the team, but this is what we have to do at this point in time. But really excited to introduce quarterback Anthony Russo, who transferred from Temple and joined the team in January and is now practicing with the Spartans this spring. So we'll take some questions for Anthony. We have about 10 minutes and we'll get started here. We'll start with Matt Wenzel with MLive. Matt.
Anthony, I was wondering if you kind of walk us through the decision when you decided to transfer, the reason for doing that, and use your extra year, and why Michigan State, and what the fit you saw there or here.
Yeah, so first off, my main reason for leaving Temple was I didn't feel that I was progressing both on and off the field as a quarterback. I don't think I was where I needed to be, and I didn't think, like I said, I was progressing the way that I wanted to be progressing. So that was my reason for leaving Temple. Once I entered the transfer portal, I talked to a few different schools, but I had the opportunity to sit down with Coach Jay Johnson, the offense coordinator, the quarterbacks coach, and actually watch a few games from last year with him and kind of talk through the scheme that they ran here, the type of offense. I think it really, really fit me well. It's a true pro style offense, under center, pro style, pass concepts, pro style run game, everything that I've kind of been looking for in an offense. And I knew, with 1 year of eligibility left and, my goal to play in the NFL, that in order to, increase my chances of doing that, I had to put myself in an opportunity that I was going to be in an offense that was similar to the next level. And I think also surrounded by guys that, have that talent to be at the next level. And I think I saw, right away watching film, the talent that, the Spartans had here at Michigan State. And I think the more I talked to, some of the coaches on staff, the more I realized, it was a great fit for me. They're very family oriented here, which is something that, I take pride in, being a family first kind of guy. And I just felt it was a great fit. I think not only football wise, but academically, I think for what I want to do, it was a great fit as well. So to me, it was a no brainer. That's why, I was only in the transfer portal for about, maybe 2 weeks, a little less, because, once I started to talk to Michigan State and see everything they had to offer, it was a no brainer for me that this was the place that I wanted, to be for my last year.
And in that room, you obviously stand out with all the experience you have. When you look back on your time at Temple and all, what is it, 26 starts or whatever it was, I can't remember. But with that being an advantage you have, I guess, how do you build on what you did, both what you like and what you wanted to clean up when it comes to approaching the quarterback competition?
Yeah, I think, just learning from my experiences, I think I've had the opportunity, like you said, to have a decent amount of starts and played in, some big games, and have been able to, feel the ups and downs of a game, the different, communication between players and coaches, players and players, whatever it may be in a game. I think I have that experience and have been able to kind of use that to my advantage. I think also, things that I've wanted to fix from my past is, I think one of my biggest things was, trying to will things to happen, especially, when we were down a couple scores in games. I was trying to, make big plays and make big throws that a lot of times ended up being intercepted, which, is something that obviously you can't have as a quarterback. You can't turn the ball over. So I think the experience is something that I've kind of used to my benefit with, all the ups and downs of a game and all that. But I think, looking back and learning from my experience and learning from my mistakes of, trying to do too much rather than just running the play that's called and taking one play at a time and, doing what the play call entails me to do. Just learning from those mistakes where I kind of went out of that and just trying to learn from that and move forward.
Thanks, Anthony.
Our next question will go to Chris Solari, the Detroit Free Press.
Hey, Anthony, good to see you. Wondered when you're giving that kind of analysis of your performance at Temple, how much of that is self-evaluation versus what did the coaches kind of tell you during the recruitment process in terms of Coach Johnson and Coach Tucker, and how much did they go over your video with you to kind of say, this is what we want to do, this is what you can do?
Yeah, I think a good amount of it was, on myself. I think when I watch the film, I tend to be a little hard on myself, which is, every time I go out on the field, I want to be perfect. I know that's not a reality, but that's my goal. I think when I was getting recruited here, um, I didn't watch too much of my film with Coach Johnson and Coach Tucker. I know Coach Johnson and myself spoke about exactly what I just said about, times that we were down in games, trying to do too much, trying to make, the big throw and fit it into tight windows. And that's where I got myself into trouble. So Coach Johnson and myself spoke about that. And, he talked about how, his offense is very detail oriented. His reads are very detail oriented. And, if I were to come here, then his goal would be, to just have me play each play as its own, see the coverage, know who I'm reading, know what concept we have called, and go from there and just treat each play as its own. But I think the biggest thing that they spoke about throughout the recruiting process was, what Michigan State can do for me, how I would fit into their offense, how that would kind of help my skill set and help me go to the next level, which is a goal of mine. And then on top of that, just speaking about, they knew that I was a really big family guy. I went to Temple, which was 20 minutes down the road from where I grew up. So I was close with my family. My little sister, went to Temple with me. My one older sister worked at Temple Hospital. So I was really around my family, and they knew that was important to me. So they kind of just spoke about, how much of a family atmosphere it is here in Michigan State, how, the team is very tight knit. The coaching staff, is very personal with their guys. And, I fell in love with it right away. It's the type of team and the type of program, that I've always wanted to be in. And now that I'm in it, it's a dream come true. I love, every single morning, I love waking up and going to the facility because, I think the players and the coaches that we have bring an energy with them that's infectious. And we kind of feed off of each other's energy. And I think it's been really, really great for the first few months I've been here, and it's just going to continue to get better.
And I kind of wondered about that with you and the other transfers, the guys that are coming in. I mean, you're obviously a little different being a grad transfer making this, but have you guys kind of bonded in your experiences with some of the, especially with the younger guys that maybe have more eligibility left, I guess? How has that experience been in terms of adjusting to a new climate and new area?
Yeah, actually, Kenneth Walker is actually my roommate, running back from Wake Forest. And, we've kind of connected before we even came out here to campus, when we both committed here. But, being able to have him as my roommate has been great, both football wise and non-football. I think football wise, we're able to, go through the installs together, go through the playbook. We're able to walk through run plays together in our apartment and kind of help each other learn. And then non-football wise, he's from about 10 hours away, just like I am, so we're both very new to the area. So I think being able to have somebody like that to kind of experience these new things with has been great. And then I think some of the other transfers as well, we got Jared Horse, we got Spencer Rowland. We got a couple great guys that, have came in. And I think, we've kind of been tight knit since we got here, those transfer guys, because we're all in that same situation. But I think that the rest of the team, the guys that have been here for multiple years, have been very inviting, been willing to, show us around, whether that's the facility or, things to do on campus, places to eat, whatever it is, the guys have been great. And we've been really appreciative of them as well.
Our next question will go to Stephen Brooks with 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Anthony, nice to sort of meet you here. I had heard that you've been in some QB competitions before. I think even going back to junior year of high school and maybe one or two at Temple. Just curious with those experiences, what's important in these things? How does somebody go about winning them? Of course, you be the best player at the end, but when you're in the midst of it, what have you sort of learned about navigating that battle and obviously hoping to come out on top?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the most important thing, in any competition, especially at the quarterback position, is just understanding at the end of the day, we're one team, we're one heartbeat. We all have that one same goal of, winning a Big Ten championship and bringing Michigan State back to where, it has been in the past. I think just, reminding ourselves that, although we are competing with one another, we're there to make each other better. And at the end of the day, the more we push each other, the more we're going to grow on the field and off the field. And, the better we will be at our position, and the better team we will be. In regards to personally, I think the biggest thing that I've learned through being in a couple of different quarterback competitions is just to focus on you. You can't control, how other guys practice, what they do. All you can control every day is, how hard you work, how well you prepare, your attitude, your energy that you bring to practice. Those are all things that you have control of every single day. So those are the things that I try and focus on, because, one of my biggest things I've always, said to myself is, just control what you can control, control the controllables. And there's no reason to get stressed out over things that you have no control over. Just, the things you do have control over, like what the things I just said, just making sure you have, great control over them, and being great at those things, having a great attitude every day, making sure I'm the hardest worker every day, and making sure that I'm the most prepared every day is all I can do, because that's all I can control. And I think being in a couple of different quarterback competitions, that's one of the biggest things that I've realized is, I just have to focus on me every day, and making this team better, and doing my job every single time I go out there on the field.
Another thing I know you've done a lot is switch schemes. I know at Temple you had a bunch of different coaches in and out of there. Does that help you pick up this one a little faster? And just where do you think you are in terms of digesting Michigan State's playbook and everything?
Yeah, I definitely have been in a few different systems, which I think definitely has, worked to my advantage a little bit. I don't think there's many, pass concepts and run plays and different things that I haven't seen at this point, this is my fourth offense now, and in 5.5 years. I think also, having to learn a few different systems, I kind of realized the, different ways that it's easier for me to learn. Whether that's, I keep a little whiteboard in my room and just draw up the plays every night, 8-10 times each play. And, I think having to learn different systems, I've realized, the different things that help me learn maybe a little faster, or whether that's, like I said, the whiteboard, or maybe, going out on the field and just walking through plays on my own, and just envisioning, what the defense would be doing, and, what I would have to do against that said defense. And I think that's kind of been a little advantage for me, is just having to learn multiple systems. Now I know, the easiest ways for me to learn, and just trying to apply those every day.
Got it. Thank you, man.
Of course.
We have time for a couple more. We'll go to Rico Cooney with Spartan Magazine. Rico?
Hey, Anthony, welcome to East Lansing. Hey, talk to me a little bit. I mean, you talked about focusing on yourself and controlling what you can control, but talk to me about, the quarterback room and somebody like Payton Thorne, and just, what you've seen from him after this first week.
Yeah, I think it's been great. I think, Payton has been great. I think he's a super smart quarterback. I think he's got a great arm. He moves well in the pocket. I think that he's helped me out at times with, some things in the offense I may not have understood completely, or, had questions on. I can go to him. And I think the best thing about our quarterback room here that I'm not sure if I've ever had before is, the bond that we have. I think we're, we all understand that, we all want to be the guy, but at the end of the day, we're all making each other better every day. Every time we step out on the field, or every time we're sitting in that meeting room watching film, we're pushing each other to be the very best that we can be. And we know that at the end of the day, the more we push each other, the better we will be, and the better the team will be. So I think that's pretty special. It's the heat of competition and all that, but I think we've done a great job in that room of, being there for each other. If somebody throws a good ball, us quarterbacks are there to congratulate them after. If somebody makes a mistake, we're right there after to, let them know what he did wrong, and help him to fix it in the future. So I think we have a great bond in that room. And I think that's kind of led from Coach Johnson. I think, that's kind of the energy that he brings every day. And I think we kind of feed off of that. And I think it's been really great. And we're just continuing to grow in that room. And I think we've been playing better and better every day that we've been out there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.
We'll wrap it up with Paul from Spartan Mag. Paul?
Hey, Anthony, I wanted to ask you about the scrimmage. You've had a chance to watch probably some of the film from that, and I just wondered what you thought of your performance, what you thought you did well, what you think you need to tighten up in the days ahead.
Yeah, I've had the chance to watch the scrimmage a few times on film, and I think all around I had a decent day. I think that my reads were pretty good, but I think my footwork in the pocket wasn't, where it needed to be. I had a few missed throws that, were crucial. I remember there was one third down to Jalen Naylor that I missed, and then we ran a 2-minute drill at the end of practice that I missed, a 4th and 2 throw to Jalen Naylor again. Both throws to my left. So when I went back and watched the film, I just kind of paid attention to my feet in the pocket and, where they were and what I needed to fix. And, it was just as simple as not opening up my front hip enough, throwing to the left, which is why I missed some throws. But overall, I think a positive that I had was the run game. I think I made some good run checks that I may have missed in the first couple of days of practice, but I was able to see them and see the blitzes and make the run checks that were necessary for that play. And then I think the pass game, I think my reads were right, but just had to give some better balls to our wide receivers and make their life a little easier. But overall, I think for the first scrimmage, I think it was good, but definitely a lot I can work on and build off of.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right, that's all the time we have today. Anthony, really appreciate it. Hopefully you could meet everybody in person soon. But really appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
All right, that concludes today's Zoom call. Appreciate everybody joining. If anybody needs any pictures or B-roll or anything like that, I'll send a link out soon or just shoot me an email. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks.